You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. Just go to Indeed.com/PODKATZ13 right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
The numbers told the story, they always do.
It's one of those idiots who believe in analytics.
This is a numbers game with Gill Alexander on VSiN.
Hour number 2 of a numbers game at VSiN, the sports betting network, VSiN.com, the VSiN app, Game Plus, iHeartRadio, YouTube TV, all proudly brought to you by BetMGM. It's Gill Alexander back in the saddle. Kelley Bydlon. Missed you guys, man. Missed you, Kelley. Missed everybody here.
Missed you too, man.
Yeah, man. You know, Turks is nice, though. Don't get me wrong. But I'm glad to be back.
I'm sure you were just every day. You're like, I miss talking to Kelley for 2 hours.
I miss talking to Kelley. We get tweets. I mean, by the way, Wes Reynolds to join us here later this hour to talk golf, college basketball, anything I bring up. Here's the beauty of having Wes Reynolds in. I don't have to talk about anything specific. I can talk about anything I want. And you know what? Wes sends something right back at me.
Plus, he's always good. I'm going to enjoy this. This is going to be a weekly thing. Mostly every week. I don't want to speak for the guy. I know he does have late shows.
He's always invited.
Yes, he's always invited.
Yeah.
But Wes, and you know this well, where, we could be talking about, it could be a college basketball preview or a golf preview, and then he throws out some random factoid that no other human being on the planet would know. Yeah. And it's a showstopper. Right there, you're like, whoa. Wes, hold up. We got to review what you just said. Because somehow he doesn't find it as amazing and outstanding.
I did not know that Khloe Kardashian went out with him. How did you? That kind of thing.
Like he is. Yeah. He can break down golfers for a golf tournament. And he my favorite one he pulls out all the time, Gill.
That's right.
He'll be like, well, this guy got married at this course back in 2012. I'm like, I don't even know where every golfer got married.
He's totally like that. He's like, Gill, you know that Tyler Duncan had his third child at that hospital right off the 8th hole. I did not know that, Wes.
I'm going to predict right now he's going to come in and tell us more about Eric Cole in 10 minutes than I ever knew in my life, even more than I learned yesterday.
You know what else I'm going to ask him about? I'm going to ask him about the Oscars. Oscars within 2 weeks, I think. We got to get Ortega in here as well.
I don't know, tough booking. Let's see what I can do.
Please.
He's a pretty big deal, man.
He might need my big time as also.
Hey, he's going to be my producer on the weekends.
Oh, is that right?
That's right.
Oh, would you like to promote your weekend show?
Saturday, yeah, Live Bet Saturday. Me and JVT on the weekends, 12 to 4 Pacific time, so 3 to 7 Eastern time. Myself and JVT right up there, and Brian Ortega right in my chair.
All right. Jota Vete, I believe that is in Spanish, I believe.
Sure.
Okay.
I lived in Venezuela.
Really
embarrassing myself today.
Did you live in Venezuela? That's right, you did.
Yeah.
Okay. We get tweets at Beating the Book. Let me read through some of these. Jeff Kuykendall. VSiN has a lot of promos where the bet splits is mentioned. Would it be possible to splice in Kelley shouting splitting bets as they just don't sound right otherwise? Jeff, on the side. I feel you. Jason H11. Welcome back, Gilly Tennis Picks. Can we get a comment on potential rules changes eliminating the Tuchus push? Yes. By the way, touchdown Jesus right after that. You can tell the numbers game kids. Oh, those three kids. The tweeter was telling about how the kids view it as their show in the morning. He says you can tell the numbers game kids because they integrate Mishpucha, Tuchus, and Katie bar the door at school. It's very true.
In their Catholic school busting out these terminologies. They're like, where did you hear this from?
Yeah, we forget what happened during the 2 weeks. That's right. Where did you hear this fakachta
Some
word?
Some guy on the radio.
Not really sure who. That 2 weeks is a long time. We forgot. Yes. So after we left after the Super Bowl, by the way, congratulations everybody again who had Chiefs bets and Chiefs futures tickets. They floating the idea of getting rid of the play in the NFL that was barred forever, right? Until the last couple years where it was all of a sudden they allowed multiple players to sit behind the quarterback and push him forward or push a ball carrier forward. In this case, the quarterback. The quarterback was not allowed. It was never allowed to push. But the Eagles made a cottage industry of it, and they have done it to unbelievable success, and more power to them for having done it. But even before this story came down, when I was here before vacation, I was saying they got to outlaw this. Yeah. They got to get rid of this. And you would be surprised, maybe you wouldn't be, that when I said this on Twitter when I was gone, there's a lot of people like, hey, you don't know what you're talking about. No one can do it like Jalen Hurts could. He can bench press 1,000,000 pounds, whatever. Really? Have you seen other teams try it? Like, to the extent you don't, every team can do this. Mm-hmm. It's a virtually unstoppable play. So I do think they have to get rid of it.
I think they do at some point too.
Why did they bring it? Why did they make it legal to begin with?
No idea. That's what I was just going to bring up. Why did they change that?
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
I don't know.
I'll tell you what, Gill. I don't know that the Eagles have exploited it to an extent that we could see next year. I think if you're someone smart enough out there, and I'm looking at you, New Orleans Saints.
We joked about this.
If you're smart enough out there, you're sitting there and saying, well, I got this Taysom Hill clown sitting on my bench that everybody's expecting me to do something with. Get your ass under center. We're going to get some two fullbacks that weigh about 300 pounds behind you and push you forward for 5 yards every play.
Two things. Why? One, why you got to call him a clown. And two, this is what we said when we did the Super Bowl recap. I said this out loud. I'm like, some teams should just do this every play. And you said the Saints. Perfect.
Yes.
You should first down, second down, third down, fourth down. You don't think this should be outlawed? Watch.
I am building, like everybody likes to say this offseason, well, the Ravens have built their offense around Lamar Jackson, right? That's going to be my new Mike Tomlin thing this offseason. It's, well, the Ravens have built their whole offense around Lamar Jackson. Who cares? Offenses can adapt. If I'm the Saints, I'm making sure my center, my two guards, Taysom Hill, and then I got two big boys behind to push, and I'm ready to roll, Gill. 5 yards every time. I'll take that every time. TV execs can go crazy. My fans can go crazy. I'll do it all the way to a championship.
That would be awesome. I'll just miss being able to say Tuchusbush, which, by the way, shout out to Todd Wishnev, who came up with that term on the Beating the Book Megapod. Speaking of Wishnev, he's like on the Twitter. Wishnev is like the smartest guy in the world in real life, but like he cannot understand text and tweet nuance. It's amazing.
People are tough.
It's tough.
The two-cheek sneak, I also like that.
Tuchusbush.
Yeah.
Tuchus. The Chicago Bears have been approached by multiple teams about trading the number 1 overall pick in this year's NFL draft. Chicago said to be leaning toward moving it, telling Adam Schefter that. Yeah. I mean, is there a scenario where they don't? There is. It's not 100% that they would trade it, but it's probably 98. Someone's going to give them something. Listen, is it the Colts from 4? Is it the Panthers from 9? One of these teams. By the way, it's still February, and the Anthony Richardson hype is already in full throttle. This is how much teams justifiably covet a quarterback on a rookie deal.
Yeah, you did miss that at the end of last week. The Anthony Richardson movement. We had about, I think, one whole mock draft with him going number 1.
He's 5-1 to go number 1.
Yeah, dude. Hook, line, and sinker. One mock draft, I'm pretty sure, had him number 1, and hook, line, and sinker, this numbers have moved like crazy.
Not Futak. He's got Levis number 1. He's sticking to it.
We had him on 2 weeks ago. I think you changed that.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, you had Futak on. That's nice.
Yeah,
Georgia defensive lineman Jalen Carter, considered one of the top players in this year's draft, will not participate in the workout portion of this week's scouting combine, but will conduct interviews with teams that undergo a physical, his agent Drew Rosenhaus said. By the way, Bryce Young also not throwing during the combine. He's going to wait for his pro day at Alabama.
I don't know why he'd throw it all. Anybody, if these guys keep comparing him to Patrick Mahomes but smaller, let everybody believe that. Why throw a single damn ball? Stroud, you're going to have to. If you want to get this number 1 spot, you're going to have to.
I am way higher on C.J. Stroud than anybody I know.
Okay, so we'll talk more about this in coming days this week. But C.J. Stroud getting close to we're over $4 plus 400 now.
Give me that.
I might be adding a piece.
By the way, I bet it.
You did?
Okay. During the 2 weeks, I bet it. But at a better number than that.
Shop around. I'm with you, man. I think we're getting a little out of control on the C.J. Stroud number.
Which brings us to the NFL's Comeback Player of the Year award for next year, which, I
was so excited when this got posted because you've been bringing this up for months.
I have brought it up since the night that Damar Hamlin was so in such scary fashion, taken by ambulance to the hospital. And we all, the game was canceled. And we all worried about his life, let alone him ever playing again. And I've said, once it became, okay to talk about since he was getting better, I said, got NFL Comeback Player of the Year next year, meaning 2023. I mean, DeMar Hamlin's got to be like minus 650 or something, right? You can't set that number high enough if he even sets foot on a field. Well, DeMar Hamlin's plus 175, which means, is at DraftKings, which essentially then is a bet on will he step foot on a football field or not? Because if he does, Kelley, how does he not win this? How?
I don't know. Hey, okay, so this is...
I don't care if Trey Lance throws for 5,000 yards.
I don't understand Trey Lance being the number 2, by the way.
Well, he's coming back from nothing. He's taking the Geno thing to a new level. He's like, Geno came back from sucking. Trey's coming back from nothing.
I mean, there's just other guys on, like Tua dealing with the concussions, Lamar Jackson with an injury, like Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp. I don't think the Rams are going to do anything.
I do. Listen, can we just agree that this is DeMar? These are two categories. There's the DeMar Hamlin category, and then there's everybody else, right?
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to bring up two things real quick. We did talk about this a little last week, me and Jeff. My only thing I brought up was, okay, you're right. He has to step foot on the field. Is that enough? Does he have to? How many plays? For you, that's enough. If he plays one play.
Well, with Alex Smith, who had the 17 surgeries, I said if he throws one forward pass, he's the comeback player of the year, and he was. And by the way, he led the league in passing yards 1 week.
So Hamlin, one pass breakup, one tackle that gets it done. I don't know.
Yeah, okay, let's say that.
I just don't like if Lamar Jackson comes back and has a phenomenal season.
Did he almost die?
No.
On the field in front of millions of people?
The other one I got to bring up because Jeff brought this up. John Mechie, interesting in this category, because missed the season with cancer, right?
That is true.
And as Jeff brought this up, I think it's a great point by him. He's not a rookie anymore. Rookies can't qualify for this award. But this isn't like the NBA. If you miss some of your time, you're a rookie that second year.
Russell Wilson would be an interesting case if he had a phenomenal year.
Right.
He
All I'm
absolutely
saying
would
is,
be.
I want to agree with you so bad, but there's so many names on here that I think could make us have a strong case next year.
Oh, there's DeMar Hamlin and no one else in history. Like, this is, no. Plus 170. Oh. Hey, do we have DraftKings here in Nevada yet? Oh,
nope.
We don't? Okay.
Open plus 250.
All right. Come back. Washington Commanders Sports Radio for my time.
A numbers game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
If you're looking for a betting edge on the NHL, NBA, or college basketball, the VSiN experts have got you covered. Become a VSiN Pro subscriber with an introductory offer of only $9.99. VSiN Pro subscribers get access to our daily recap of the top plays made by VSiN show hosts and guests, tools like our betting splits, deep dive betting reports, VSiN betting guides for the biggest games of the season, where our experts break down brackets, best bets, and daily props. Don't miss out. It is a limited time offer, however. Visit VSiN.com/subscribe today to sign up for only $9.99. That's VSIN.com/subscribe. One correction, Kelley. This is pointed out to us by Sean on Twitter. I wasn't really looking at the wording, but when the Bucs co-owner Mark Lassery reaching an agreement to sell his portion of the Bucs to the Cleveland Browns ownership group of Jimmy and Dee Haslam, the valuation on the franchise is $3.5 billion. So their portion is not $3.5 billion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I screwed that up,
Their
too.
portion is whatever percentage.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes more sense, that's for sure.
Speaking of...
What would the Broncos go for? $4 billion, right?
Well, which brings us to Commanders talk. Because before I went to Turks and Caicos to interrupt, before Deborah Song, fashion stylist, and I went there to interrupt the Felica family vacation, I went to visit my mom in D.C. And the first thing I did, by the way, my father, who passed away over a year ago, he's laid to rest in Virginia. So I said, can I get the car? I want to go visit my dad. By the way, I do most of the talking when I go. I have a lot to say to him. But one of the things by going by myself is that I get to listen to Washington, D.C. sports talk radio back and forth.
Yeah.
And so this was, how can I put it, one of the worst sports talk radio experiences I've ever had in my life. I won't name any names. And it wasn't like some people from DC Sports Talk Radio who appear on this network. It was like people that they work with happen to do shows. And for the entire drive there and drive back, because he was still talking about this one thing, this dude on the radio was making the case. He wanted to do a whole 2 hours on how far does Washington have to go, Commodores, Commodes, how far do they have to go for Ron Rivera not to get fired? Because his whole logic was, Ron Rivera drafted Sam Howell, and if Sam Howell's awesome, Ron Rivera should continue to be the coach, which is the stupidest logic I've ever heard in my life. Because one, Ron Rivera is not even an offensive coach. Two, if you're giving him all this credit for drafting Sam Howell and Sam Howell turns out to be something, you should probably also factor into the equation that the only reason Sam Howell got in a game is because Rivera had messed up the quarterback situation so bad that once they were finally eliminated, and by the way, Rivera was the last person to know that they got eliminated, if you recall. They're like, all right, we'll put the kid in. And by the way, the kid, Sam Howell, completed 11 forward passes against Dallas. Let's not everybody go crazy. If Sam Howell can become that guy that everybody had winning the Heisman a couple years back, all right, maybe we're onto something. But like the thing about DC Radio is, first of all, it's all about the Commodes. And this hope they're latching on to Sam Howell being the guy.
Well, okay. That's interesting because, I mean, the thing that I've been surprised by the past few weeks is these reports coming out that, like, he is the guy.
He is absolutely the guy.
Well, like, I mean, Gill, how is he the guy? If you never gave him a chance until you had to in week what? What was it when he got his first look?
Bruh.
Like, you weren't that sold on the guy at week 7, week 8.
May I call you bruh? I mean, this is what I'm saying. And then against Dallas, and by the way, Dallas needed the game. Dallas wasn't trying to. They were not mentally there. He completes 11 passes, and everybody's going crazy. Okay, good. By the way, Sam Howell looked a little out of shape to me in that game. That's just me. All right, okay, but let's just go with this. So then the question becomes from a betting standpoint, because all the, first of all, the horrible sports talk radio experience of this, if he drafted Sam Howell, he should be coach forever. Then there's the backdrop of Daniel Snyder, who, by the way, I do not buy that he's selling the team. I didn't mean to say it that way. I do not believe at any point that he is really legitimately selling this football team because his asking price was over $6 billion. No one offered him $6 billion. He won't sell it to Jeff Bezos because he got a grudge against Jeff Bezos.
I saw another one of those reports this morning.
Even though the owners would probably, if it came to it, would make him do it just to raise all their collective franchise values. But anyway, no one got to a $6 billion bid. And so it's set up for Snyder to be like, well, sorry, not selling. Make me. Which, by the way, they still probably can try to push him to do it. So there's all this stuff going on. And the question becomes, from a betting standpoint, would they be in play for the number one pick? And so the resounding answer to that question is, it appears not. If you look at what are the teams that could possibly trade up to number one to draft a quarterback, and no team, just recent history, needs one any more than they do. I know there are other teams that would raise their hand, but Washington has been quarterback bereft, no real solution for it seems like forever. The Bears are sitting number one. They're not drafting a quarterback. Would the Colts, who need a quarterback, trade up from 4? Would the Panthers trade up from 9? Would Washington trade up from the mid portion of the draft? Well, I was saying before I left, I was like, hey, if I'm Washington, I give them Chase Young and 2 first-round draft picks, including this year's, and see if they bite. Now there's the whole Chase Young debate in D.C., which they'll do an hour of sports radio on also, which is Chase Young still his best days ready, in front of us, and we still haven't seen the best of Chase Young? Or is Chase Young already a bust that not only can't stay healthy, but also, when healthy, has shown signs of being LeVar Arrington? And by that, what I mean is he just can't stick to the script. He just does his own thing out there. I don't care what the scheme is. I don't care that I got to set my edge.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go make a play. And so there's a divided camp on Chase Young as well. My thing is, I'd trade Chase Young 2 first-round picks and see if that would be enough. It might not be enough, by the way, because Washington's pick's not high enough this year.
Yeah, 16 is where they're
16, right in the middle. But I'd try that. But guess what? It does not appear, by everything I'm hearing, it does not appear like they are even remotely interested in trading up. Sam Howell is the guy. And it's amazing to me.
I'm with you. I think I think that's a good trade offer. Chicago, besides the Chiefs, you had the best season. Somehow you actually figured out a little bit that you might have a quarterback, sold people that your offense is moving in the right direction, and still landed the number 1 overall pick to sit back and day after day, I'm sure, receive trade offer after trade offer that just starts getting more absurd. But you're right. If you're Washington, I think you have to make a move like that. You have to at least try.
There does not appear to be. Listen, we're still a ways away. We're 2 months away from the draft. All of this could change a million times. And usually by the time the draft rolls around, we have a much better sense of what is and what is not going to happen. But right now, it doesn't appear that they're even contemplating this. If you're hearing all the speculation, it's like not even in bounds, which is shocking to me. And so how currently the only person signed for next year as a quarterback for that football team, Taylor Heineke's future is very much up in the air.
Is that true? Every other one of those guys?
Yeah, because they're deciding what to do with Heineke. If you're Taylor Heineke, why would you stick around to be a backup to Sam Howell?
Screw that, yeah. I mean, you're probably going to have to be a backup somewhere.
I was going to say, maybe there's no starting job for you anywhere either.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
You just heard my initial reaction. I think his would be the same thing. Like, whatever, I'll go somewhere I might get a chance.
And Carson Wentz, I guess his days of being a starting quarterback are over.
Yeah, that's done.
Are his days of being a backup quarterback over is the question. Probably not.
Yeah.
Some team would take him as a backup.
It's kind of like what you said with, we're going to hear this a billion times. It's one of the draft cliches, but it's why you wouldn't commit earlier in the show when we were talking about this it's 100% chance the Bears move that first pick.
Not 100.
There's always that chance when it comes to draft, when it comes to certain players, all it takes is one team to fall in love with you, right? And even as stupid as us talking about Carson Wentz as a backup quarterback, all it takes is for someone to look at Carson Wentz tape again and be like, well, his arm's good enough. I think he'll make a good backup.
Well, I don't know. I mean, listen, there's a lot of people like, I can't believe we're talking about the NFL draft. This is the most consistently profitable betting vehicle there is on the sports betting calendar year after year after year.
Freaking men.
We will never apologize for talking about the NFL draft.
I was just going to bring that up to her. I was going to be like, hey, listen, you're going to hear us talking a lot about the draft. But, Gill, what have you made? What's the top 3 sports betting events you've made the most money off of the past 5 years?
Draft.
No
question.
Sorry, it's draft.
Without even thinking twice.
I'm with you. So, yes, sorry, you're going to hear Gill and I talk about this stuff a lot.
I mean, look, will there be a year where we won't make money? Sure, it's coming at some point.
Yeah, that was likely coming.
Hasn't happened yet, though. But as more offerings are, and more things on the menu are offered, and they're out sooner and sooner, it's fun to talk about. This is a very nice stretch. By the way, I know the Super Bowl is over and football is king, but this is a beautiful stretch. Conference basketball tournaments followed by March Madness. Followed closely, during also the Indian Wells, tennis's 5th major this year. Then there's the Masters, and then it's the draft. This is a spectacular sports and sports betting schedule right in front of us here the next month and a half even.
Yep.
Notice how I don't include the Kentucky Derby in that roll call anymore? just doesn't register the same way.
It's always a good Saturday for me to burn a couple tickets on.
Even 5 years ago, I'd incorporate it. I can't even bring myself to say it. Wes Reynolds joins us in studio, talking about all things. Who knows what? Golf and college basketball for sure next.
A numbers game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
In addition to new shows, VSiN will kick off new podcasts to give every bettor the insights, tools, and confidence to make smarter betting decisions. VSiN continues to expand its catalog of popular sports betting podcasts to cover every corner of the sports betting menu. No matter what sports you like to bet or how experienced you are, you'll find a podcast for you. VSiN College Basketball Betting Podcast has some of the best college hoops analysis around, breaking down the betting odds, lines, and totals. Host Tim Murray hosting 3 episodes each week with invaluable contributions from alternating co-hosts Matt Humans and Adam Burke. Then there's the VSiN Hockey Betting Podcast featuring Danny Burke and NHL betting expert Andy McNeil. They cover all things hockey twice each week. They're all free and available now at VSiN.com/podcast or wherever you get your podcast. Danny Burke and Andy McNeil doing a hockey betting podcast.
Duo. Check it out.
The Odd Couple. Looking forward to that.
Danny was here last week. I think he's still here. Sean said he's still here. Danny It's so incognito in the South Point Sportsbook. Jeff and I had him in here on a Wednesday or Thursday last week. I don't remember. On Friday, I'm walking out, heading towards the office with Wyatt, like we normally do on Fridays, right? Danny's in his like sweats in a like a jacket and a beanie. He's got a cup of coffee sitting in the sportsbook just watching. He's like, hey, guys, I totally blew right by him. I was like, oh, it's Danny Burke just chilling in the South Point Sportsbook at 9 a.m.
Hockey betting podcast twice a week. That should be good for all you aspiring hockey bettors out there. This gentleman cannot go incog in any sports book here in town. He is a knowledgeable person in so many different subjects, not just sports, but beyond. He's the glue that holds all of this together. It's Wes Reynolds, everybody, and he's the co-host of a new VSiN show with Matt Humans here nightly, which he's getting ready for the debut of tonight. It's Wes Reynolds in studio. How you doing, man?
Good morning, Gill. Good to be with you.
Your show time tonight and every night is?
6 to 9 Pacific.
Mm-hmm.
It is VSiN Tonight with myself and Matt Humans. So live bet tonight. It's kind of like, do you remember Three's Company, Gill?
Oh, of course.
The last episode when it went off the air and then they moved the company and put the Three's a Crowd in it.
Yes.
Now, I hope we don't suffer the same fate as Three's a Crowd did. The one-season spinoff with John Ritter.
Kelley has no idea what we were talking about.
No, but I nailed it. What I say earlier in the show, he's going to bring up some fact about something, and you're going to be like, I learned something today. Wes did it right off the top.
Wes, since we're on the subject, what was your favorite iteration of Three's Company? Was it the original Joyce DeWitt, Suzanne Summers version, or is it one of the subsequent ones?
Probably the original, but Don Knotts wasn't on the original either.
Right.
So it's kind of like, a cross because it was originally the Ropers were the original.
You preferred Don Knotts over Norman Fell.
I do. I liked both, but I felt Don Knotts kind of fit the kind of campy, showed that was
Soup
more than
Dooger.
Norman Fell.
You got your Soup Dooger.
Yes.
Yeah, no, but Norman Fell would stare at the camera. He would break the
fourth
break
wall,
the
yes.
wall. So great.
Yes.
Oh, I could talk Three's Company with you for the rest of the morning. But, people might want to hear about other stuff. Specifically, Honda Classic. Kelley Bydlon snakes out a win with the great Chris Kirk. You had Eric Cole at what number?
150 to 1.
Oh, even longer than I thought. Oh,
God.
man. All right, Matt had 125.
Let me ask you a question, Wes. You flirt with a title in these golf tournaments so frequently. When you lose a 150 to 1 like that, are you like anything beyond numb to it at this point?
Pretty much. And look, we've talked about this on Long Shots, Kelley, Matt Brown, and I, in terms of the fact that in order to kind of like mitigate that when it doesn't get home, you have to play those placement markets.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to, whether it's top 10s, top 20s, top 40s. I was even probably more conservative yesterday with Eric Cole because usually with the longer shot like that, I'm playing top 30 and top 40. I'm not going to play top 5 and top 10. I'm like, if he makes the cut, does okay, and then, play a smaller increment on an outright. But, that's really what you have to do, and that's what I would like to see Las Vegas do a little bit more, give a little bit more options in terms of,
That's very delicately
top 20s, top 30s, top 40s, or, just a couple, or even top 10s.
It is a travesty. I'll say it stronger than you. It is a travesty that these things don't exist here. Mm-hmm. They're everywhere else.
Because I feel like they do them maybe for majors, and they obviously offer a full menu. Like, we'll have a big menu for the Masters, which, of course, is...
So the excuse that they don't have the technology to do it is out the window because we know they do. Because that's an often used one, right? Oh, we don't have the technology.
Yeah, I just, I think you got to offer those options to get more people involved because, you're not going to hit an outright every single week. You might get somebody close, but you're not going to hit it every single week. And then it's like, that's a way to, like, keep more people involved, where it's like, okay, I didn't hit that, but, if you bet $100 on a player, well, I didn't hit the $50 on the win, but I got $50 on this guy top 10, so I made money.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to come back and bet.
Right. Yes. You want people to keep on coming back. That should be the strategy. Were you, not to make this more painful than it might have been, when Chris Kirk went into the water on 18, did you think it was yours?
I thought that there was a good chance. I really did. And Cole ends up making a 5. And kind of when I knew in the playoff hole that Cole was going to lose, because it reminded me of a few years ago. The year escapes me, but if you remember, Justin Thomas and Luke List went into a playoff in this event a few years ago. And Justin Thomas was in the exact same spot Chris Kirk was to get into the playoff. That par 5 on the 18th where, he's just got a little wedge into the green, and then he sticks it, makes the birdie. So that's when I kind of knew in the playoff hole, I was like, man, he kind of let him off the hook here.
Anything Arnold Palmer yet, or it's too early in the week?
Not yet. I have done at least preliminary look. Most of my Monday will be actually working on kind of the base of the column. But, it's a really good field, really chalky. Obviously, John Rahm, I think I saw in the morning price, I think he's like plus 650 is basically the market average, and that's about where I thought he was going to be. But this is, I believe, the 4th most predictive event of any on the PGA Tour. If you look at Data Golf, at Data Golf, by the way, on Twitter, it's right up there with like Augusta National. So that means guys that play well here and guys that have a very good course history here tend to play well going forward.
Augusta National is number 1?
Yes.
Yeah.
It has been, at least for the last few years.
Yeah.
So I look at guys that have played well, and if I'm going a little bit down from the Rahms and the Rorys and the Scotty Scheffler, was obviously the defending champion. He won the red cardigan here last year. A couple guys that are playing very well right now, kind of very sneakily, haven't won in a while, some big names. Ricky Fowler and Jason Day will probably be on my card this week.
Yeah. That's what I like to hear. I played Jason Day in a couple top 20s. I played him for a Masters bet actually last week. 85-1 grabbed a piece of Jason Day. It's kind of coming back into form. The other thing to your point, Wes, we've had a lot of shorter shots here recently. I don't think there's any reason with this being an elevated event to think that's going to be any different this week.
Where do you stand? Because there's a lot of people, before we get off golf and go into college basketball, John Rahm is, these plus 650s and the 7-1s and that sort of range. Single digits is basically what you will get on him now, tournament to tournament, as long as he still shows himself to be the top of the heap or one of the few at the top of the heap in golf. And of course, the sort of knee-jerk betting reaction to that is, well, it's too short, you can't play it. I mean, at what point do you start playing that kind of thing? Do you think you ever would, where he's just so good, like Scotty Scheffler, right? Same sort of thing, where these guys are so reliable to be knocking at the door week after week that you almost have to dive into them.
Well, I mean, you can maybe use them in like alternative markets if they're offered in your jurisdiction where it's like top 10, where it's like, I don't know against this kind of field if I want to bet John Rahm. I'm seeing him as low on the board. I think, plus 550 at Bet Rivers right now is what I'm seeing. I'm like, I'm not going to bet that.
No.
I'm not going to bet that in this field when you've got Rory, who's won here, Scotty Scheffler, Max Homa, Colin Morikawa, Justin Thomas, Xander Schauffele, Will Zalatoris, Patrick Cantlay, Tony Finau. I'm not going to bet that short of a price with this kind of field with as many capable players as there are of winning here. I mean, when you're looking at guys like I'm looking, Hideki Matsuyama is like 70-1.
Yeah.
Like this guy is not that far removed from like top tier golf. So you're getting really good prices this week. So in a short field, Gill, like if it was the Tour Championship where there's only 30 in the field, sure, I'd bet a short price. I've done that before. But look, for those that like kind of I think somebody came at Matt Brown on Twitter, and guys have told me that. They're like, why don't you just bet the best player? I'm like, easy enough, right? Well, I thought I was doing that when I had Rory McIlroy on my Riviera card at like just under 10-1, and I usually don't bet somebody that short.
I want to bring up one thing though, Wes. You've talked about this on the pod, and I think it's a great way to look at Rahm. Of what are there other ways to bet this where you're not going up against 135 other guys with one bullet, right? You've brought up the group bets before. I don't bet those very often, but I think it's a great thing to point out that you could bet him. Okay, if you think he's going to win the thing, bet him in a group matchup where there's usually about 4 golfers.
And a hat tip to our Gone Racing guys here on VSiN that do our NASCAR program. That's how Jeff Motley and Brendan Gaughan bet a lot of these things. It's like, okay, you got 5 drivers in a group. I'll take him at plus 3.25 to win this group, and you're beating 4 other guys. So, I think, DraftKings, a few others absolutely offer this, and that's kind of a new way to get involved.
Bet other markets by proxy kind of thing. All right, we'll come back. College basketball conference tournaments begin today with the Atlantic Sun. See if Wes has any conference tournament bets he wants to make that tip off this week. Beyond 3 more tipping off tomorrow. Wes Reynolds in studio. Numbers Game, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
numbers game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks, unleashing the spirit of Las Vegas with BetMGM rewards. Every time you make a wager at BetMGM, you can earn BetMGM rewards points you can redeem for online bonus credits like bonus bets and bet insurance tokens. Planning a trip to Vegas, you can also convert your BetMGM points into MGM rewards points that you can use towards dining, shows, and hotel rooms at over 20 MGM Resorts properties located on the Las Vegas Strip and nationwide. BetMGM Rewards, sports betting's premier loyalty program featuring exclusive offers, incredible experiences, and valuable perks when you wager on the BetMGM app. Sign up with BetMGM or log on today to get an even bigger piece of the action with BetMGM Rewards. Eligibility restrictions apply. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. Must be 21 years of age or older to wager. New and existing customer offer. All promotions subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets. Bonus bets expire in 7 days from issuance. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. We get tweets at Beating the Book. Wes, it's funny. We could talk about anything else, but the Three's Company tweets come streaming in from T for 3. Welcome back, Gilly Ice. It's great to have you back, but I will not stand for besmirching of the great Stanley Roper. And he sends a picture of Stanley Roper, played by Norman Fell, breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah, where he looks just deadpan at the camera.
I love Stanley Roper. I was not besmirching him. Even as a kid, when he would do that, a little part of me would just giggle every time.
Yeah.
Mike Alvarez. Oh, I love Mike Alvarez. How can you two talk Three's Company without mentioning the Regal Beagle and Greedy Gretchen? Regal Beagle.
The Regal Beagle.
Was the
That's
go-to.
a legendary hangout.
Yeah, Larry was always there, wasn't he?
Yes.
James Spivey. Hey, Gil, speaking of Three's Company, did you see the one where there was some kind of misunderstanding? It's a great tweet.
Yeah,
That's
one.
awesome.
That one.
That one. That's right. See, Kelley, the joke is that happened every single episode. That was the whole thing. It was always a misunderstanding.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Crap. This has totally turned into me explaining movies to Isaiah and Wyatt.
Oh, here's a question Neil Galbraith has for you, guys. When holding a huge odd ticket like Cole outright, do you ever consider the cash out?
Sorry, I just immediately laughed seeing this tweet. Neil, it's a great question. I think I can answer this for Wes and myself. It's an awesome question. It is absolutely something we would love to have the ability to consider, but we don't.
Right.
So right now for us, it's hedging on another player live, or you know what? For as much as we do trash the books in town for golf markets, I will give a nod to Circa for the yes nos every tournament. Mm-hmm. That is good because I did take a piece of the no on Kirk the night before, and that helps. That makes it easier.
Jesse Welch. This don't have the technology BS is nonsense. Pony up and buy the technology then. The sports betting capital is being and has been surpassed by the likes of Air freaking Zona.
Yeah.
And this is where I will, some of the books in the non-jurisdictions where, you could kind of include them in this too. I wish it was put together kind of like how the UK and the overseas market does it, where you could bet the each way.
Each way, yeah.
I think that's the way to do it. Like whenever you're reading content, by the way, in the golf space, where it says 70-1 EW each way, means half of your bet, whatever the increment is, goes to the win, and then half of the bet goes to, depending on how many places that the book is offered. It might be like each way, quarter, 6. That means quarter payout, 6 places, for everybody that finishes 1 through 6. So I wish that they would do that here. I think that would make a lot more sense.
There is one book, that's another one I want to give credit to. Bet Rivers has started doing each-way betting in the U.S.
There you go.
One of the first books to do that. So tip of the cap to Bet Rivers, because you're right, Wes. I mean, we talk about some of the things that everybody else is doing we wish we had. Right. That's something you haven't really seen in the States at all Wes and I would highly recommend betting that way, right? I mean, that's something.
That's when whenever we listened to those British pods back in the day on golf, Kellner and all those guys, they'd be like, bet them each way.
Mm-hmm. That's how they all do it. Yep, that's how they all do it.
Gil, Tony Romo's performance was, how can I put this, lamentable, wasn't it?
Then we don't have me yelling back here yelling about second place finishes and Talladega Nights graphics about all of them.
Do you have any Masters bets yet, Wes?
Not yet. I've actually I wanted to see if some of these top players, because Rahm is winning so much, if they drift up a little bit. Like, you're not going to get much of them, because I got asked about this by somebody, I think, a couple days ago. It's like, who do you think might win the Masters? I was like, well, it feels like Rory's year every year, because he's trying to get that Grand Slam that he has not been able to get. Of course, had that great 64 on Sunday last year, but fell a couple shots short. But I have not made any yet. I just think the more and more Rahm wins, though, obviously, that's going to raise some prices, at least with the
or at least it should.
Somewhat high, like bottom of the top 10, top 20 type players in the field.
Okay, college basketball. 3 questions. One, first, your Indiana Hoosiers. What's your view on them right now in terms of getting deep?
Look, I think it's open. Everything, obviously, and this is such a canned answer, but everything is draw dependent.
Mm-hmm.
I think with a lot of these teams, basically, this is wide open.
Well, we were saying this yesterday, not to interrupt. We were saying yesterday that you could make a case for so many teams making the Sweet 16 this year. Like you're watching Northwestern get beat by Maryland, just not missing from 3-point land yesterday.
Right.
You're like, I could see Northwestern in the Sweet 16. No problem. If they get the right draw. No problem. But there's so many teams you could say that about. Some people might even say Boise State. I could see them getting to the Sweet 16. It's wide open like that this year.
Yeah, that's what I was saying about Purdue the other night when I was watching Indiana get the sweep. First time in 10 years they got the sweep over the Boilermakers. And I was like, Purdue, if they get in with a lot of teams that play half-court stuff, they can out-execute most of those teams. But if you get into a run-the-rim team like Alabama, a team that's going to run, or a team like Arizona, are they athletic and fast enough, or are they too slow to keep up with those teams? So everything, it's the old adage, styles make fights. But back to Indiana, I do have a 50-1. I'm seeing that now at BetMGM, if that graphic is correct, at 25-1. So, look, got at least a little bit of a closing line value, if you want to call it that, for that. But yeah, Indiana, the fact is, Trace Jackson Davis more often than not has to be Superman. He didn't have to be Saturday because Jalen Hood-Schifino was Superman and looks like every bit maybe the potential first-round pick if you believe the NBA mocks. But they do need that third option. And maybe getting Xavier Johnson back here at the end of the regular season, he's really their best defender in terms of in the backcourt, because if Jalen Hood-Schifino gets in foul trouble, they're not very deep at the guard position, especially defensively.
You have a conference play that you've made on any of these tournaments?
I have not. I'm actually getting a crack at those in the morning. The one thing I will say about some of these conference tournaments, now apparently the hold is not as bad as it is in recent years, but it's like 12 to 16%. But these conference tournament, holds, one thing you got to be very selective and be very careful on is that you're not exactly getting the max value in some of these conferences. So you really got to do some line shopping here. The hold is never going to be great, even though it's been better, I think, than the last few years. But yeah, like some of these, I'll give an example, like Youngstown State is plus 170. I'm just happen to have DraftKings open right now. That's an overpriced favorite. Maybe they do win this tournament, but the top seed in the Horizon League's only won 3 times in the last 12 years. So do you really want to bet, a team that short necessarily? But that doesn't mean you also want to take bombs. You don't want to be taking IUPUI at 500 to 1 or something.
No, you don't want to be taking them.
No.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when you're looking at this, you don't have to, you could predict every conference tournament, but you don't have to necessarily bet it per se. So, yeah, there's only, I think, about 10 of these out right now. I'm going to get a crack at these and see if I can find anything down the board. But there's a lot of favorites, a lot of big favorites in these lower major, which that's what starts this week. Oral Roberts minus 180 in the Summit League. Of course, they went undefeated in that conference. Liberty minus 230 in the Atlantic Sun. Colgate minus 220 in the Patriot League. And those prices will probably stay where they are, until teams get eliminated, and then they'll obviously even further and further lengthen. But it's hard to take futures that are minus 230 in a conference tournament because you have one bad night and it's a one-bid league, and the pressure gets to these guys. That's why I steer away from betting favorites, especially in these lower major tournaments.
Earlier we did the formula, 6 teams. Twice now, it's isolated the same 6 teams to win the national championship. Those 6 teams, some on the inside looking in, some on the outside looking inside looking out, some on the outside looking in. Alabama, Purdue, and Kansas, closely followed by UCLA, Houston, and UConn. You think the national champion comes from one of those 6? I
think it very well could. I do have a UConn position. I don't have a UCLA or a Kansas because they've been short. But if you look, who would be the 4 number 1 seeds right now? Kansas would be my number 1 overall. Alabama, Houston, and or Purdue, UCLA. Maybe Purdue got knocked off the one line. I'll have to look at the latest bracketology this week. But all these teams, UConn is the team that's kind of under.
They are now.
Yeah, and now they're getting back, though, because they had that period where they lost 5 of 6. They're very good. They can win it all.
Who's the most draw independent of these schools? Like, it doesn't matter who's in front of them. They're equipped to beat all kinds of styles.
I think probably Kansas.
Okay.
Kansas and UCLA would be the 2 teams of those 6.
The Blue Bloods. Wes, great to see you. You're
Good to be
always
with you.
welcome. Any Monday you want to come in, stroll on in. Wes Reynolds, everybody. The glue that holds it together, his debut with Matt Humans tonight, right here at VSiN. Thanks for listening. We've done all we can do. Lombardi Line is next with Stormy. Enjoy.
At Arizona State University, we've made online education better, smarter, and more personalized so you can go further in your aspiring field.
I decided to pursue medicine once I realized that ASU did have the online program for biological sciences. You're still required to learn the same curriculum. You're still being tested on the same content that anyone would be tested on in person. The comprehensiveness of the program prepared me so well for medical school.
Explore over 300 programs at asuonline.asu.edu.